I'd like to send a big thank you to everybody who is tuning into the podcast. We are welcoming the Nixter 15 as a new guest to the
Howdy.
podcast. Yeah, give it a nice wave. A wonderful elite streamer, and of course the returning Flemma. Today's podcast is going to be focusing on more of a controversial topic, so we can give our 2 cents about the recent policy changes and updates from Twitch, specifically starting with incel virgin and simp. So it's a language discussion. So right now in a crackdown on sexually focused terms, but in this case, incel virgin and simp. Glad I'm not streaming this right now.
We have just been banned from Twitch.
Forever. Twitch COO Sarah Clemens said that the term would be banned when used as an insulting purpose, but for harmless jabber, apparently, there's no problem. Only in a derogatory fashion. Also to be banned are emotes, anything related to, these specific terms. Do you think that this opens the floodgates for anybody to say, this specific term makes me feel bad? I feel like I was being attacked, even when there are specific instances of honest to God jest? Do you think it's going to impact, people outcrying for more when simple terms like, simp, which is, in my opinion, it's a harmless insult to me. Like when people hear it, obviously I'm not in a mindset where some people might take it offensively. I don't see it as a blanket term. But do you think it could have a negative impact if people abuse this new policy?
I think where Twitch went wrong here is they specifically mentioned words that they're banning. If they kept it at derogatory statements aimed at another person's sexual preference and the negative use of sexually focused terms, like that was in the quote, I think then it encompasses words like simp and incel, but it doesn't specifically say it because now there's a rise in the use of the term simp. It has
Yep.
doubled since Twitch has banned it. If you tell people not to do something, they're gonna do it.
Yeah, rebellion.
So I think they went wrong by specifically naming words. They should have just left it as a blanket general thing. And then if someone had an issue with a particular viewer or streamer calling them a simp or something, then under the Twitch language, the Twitch TOS language, then yeah, you could have a ban or suspension.
Absolutely.
I I to be honest, I think, it's has this ban come about because there's been a lot of cases of people reporting where people have used these terms and then they've been like, it's been really rude, but I very rarely I might need to shut my window. Sorry. I live right near a train station. Sorry about that. I very, very rarely ever see those terms in either my own stream or any streams I've ever been. The only time I've seen any of those words used is simp. And I think it's when we said it, some of us said it to Kaiser because he was talking about how much he loved his wife. Now, in my opinion, that's not even an insult. Like, we were insulting him, but we weren't. We were just saying, ha ha, you love your wife. Like, that's not a bad
What a
thing.
loser who loves their wife.
Oh my God, he's got a happy little family. Yeah. I just find that really interesting. So I've never found the term simp. The first time I heard the term simp was actually watching PewDiePie. I watch a lot of PewDiePie, and he's kind of used it. It's interesting because although he's not on Twitch, he's obviously only on YouTube, he has brand with the word simp on it. But it's not going to affect him because it makes me think now, like, okay, so Twitch have banned these words. Are they going to do it to YouTube as well? Because Twitch and YouTube seem to, sometimes follow each other.
Right.
And I just found the word, if anyone's been called a simp, it's like, oh, they like a girl and stuff. I don't know. I've never seen anyone use that particular word to be really hurtful to someone. It just means, for me, simp means you care about someone.
Yeah, no, I mean,
Why is that a bad thing?
see that's where the nuance comes in, because a lot of times, especially with your own group of friends, you'll make fun of somebody, and it's almost like KISSING, sitting in a tree, that kind of old rhyme.
Yeah.
It's just joking around, but Twitch specifically said in their statement that they wouldn't incur it as a bannable offense if used in, like a joking fashion or something that's not taking as harassment or assault. But in two parts. One, what Nixter said with the rebellion, if you ban the word specifically, if you're going after a specific term, then people are going to not like being told what to do, and it's going to get obviously worse.
The bigger issue too is they're saying these words are banned except. Then it's imagine there was a law where it's like this is illegal except. It makes it way too confusing. There's too many gray areas, and you can't have a good. I don't know. In my opinion, you can't have a good terms of service if there's an exception to a bannable offense or a suspendable offense.
Yeah. So in with what you said, Flemme, and what we were talking about with just joking around with friends, do you think
Mm.
that some people, even though it's perceived as a joke, and maybe even chat perceives it as a joke, and there is no maybe malice intent, but the streamer is ultra sensitive, then what kind of a situation do we run into? Because is Twitch going to listen to the feelings and the thoughts of the streamer who is maybe a little bit too sensitive, even though it's not used in an aggressive manner? Do you think that action could be taken against them? And in other words, it should have been a blanket statement, and that harassing words would be investigated and banned, and action would be taken. But instead, now they've opened the floodgates to people just using it all the time because they feel like they don't want to listen. And then in terms of jokes, people can just maybe outcry and say they're being attacked when, and honestly, there maybe not be. What do you think about that?
So, what if the streamer was being attacked by people using these terms?
Not legitimately. Let's say if there is a situation where a streamer is a very sensitive person and
Yeah.
people are joking around in a way that is seen as maybe schoolyard banter to most people, but to them it's seen as an attack. And then boom, somebody gets banned from the platform, somebody gets investigated for
I
their
see what you
actions.
mean.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a difficult one because, like, you've got your regular audience, but then you could have someone come in out of the blue, like a new person to the stream, and they could be offended. That's a hard issue to tackle, but I think there's a level of respect between a streamer and the audience. Um, and I think you've got to be open and honest. Like, I strongly believe that if someone was really offended by something that was said in stream, they wouldn't just keep quiet, or they'd either leave and just, not report it, but like, okay, I don't like this, I'm gonna leave. Or they'd say something. You'd hope that they would speak up and be like, sorry guys, like, because if someone is new to a stream, there's gonna be inside jokes, for example, that they're not gonna understand. Like, for example, like I feel like I have this in Discord every time someone new comes in and then I start harassing Creepy. And they're like, oh my God, it's like, why does she hate this guy? Like, why is she being so mean to him? And obviously it's an inside joke. And we actually are good friends. So, if you're coming into someone's stream and you're offended by something, I'd hope that you would either leave. If it's not for you, then leave. But if you seriously feel like someone's being attacked and stuff, then to speak up about it and not just hide and report it. It's a difficult scenario because, yeah, it kind of relies on people being open and honest,
Yeah.
people not just hiding away and just like report.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think that's
like talk about it.
that's a good viewpoint about the viewer, I think. And what I was getting into is more or less like the streamer, because I feel like when a streamer is on, a lot of people can be more self-conscious with themselves when they're on camera and feel attacked easily because you're in this mode of perception with text. Kind of like if you're getting an email, you're perceiving it a certain way based off of if somebody said it vocally. So my thought process is, if you have viewers that are, busting your balls, like let's say you guys were doing with Kaiser, and they're hitting them with these jokes, and then they're getting offended, and then they're reporting their viewers, even though it was used in jest. Nixter, I'm going to throw this one to you. What do you think? I mean, do you think it opens the floodgates for abuse of of these terms, like actually being offended by them and reporting them, abuse of the new policy?
I think as a streamer, it's your responsibility to let your chat know what you find acceptable and unacceptable.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, if someone is coming into my chat and they're saying, "Oh, you're such a simp," and "Oh, my dog's making an appearance," um, but and like let's say it bothers me, then it's up to me to be like, "Hey guys, can you stop it? I don't like that." If they keep doing it, then sure, I have grounds to go to Twitch. But if they're doing it and it's bugging me and I don't speak up about it, and then I go to Twitch and be like, "Look, these viewers were mean to me, ban them, then that's kind of a jerk move,
Yeah.
I think. So can it be open for abuse? Absolutely. Just hopefully Twitch can be subjective enough that they can look at the situation and tell if there was actually any malice from the chat and the streamer. Because again, if the streamer's not letting the chat know that, hey, I don't like this behavior, this bugs me, how's chat supposed to know? And like you said, especially if it's someone new, because every streamer has their inside jokes, and if someone comes in, they don't know the rules, they don't know the jokes, they don't know what the streamer is comfortable with, what they're uncomfortable with, and they start dropping simp and virgin and incel in the chat, you know, the streamer
Absolutely.
needs to let them know. I always have the belief that you don't ban right away. Like there are certain things that you would ban right away for, but for the most part, you would give a warning, then timeout, then ban.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a very good point. I completely agree with that. And going from, just the simplicity of incel, virgin, and simp, which is kind of new aged. I mean, hearing the words incel and simp haven't been around for a long time. I'm sure people have been called virgins in ways that are derogatory and whatever, but since this is kind of new, Twitch is acting on it. But I want to talk about something that's old, that's quite old in terms of our America as a whole, the rest of the world, and just the history that we have is with Twitch's policy updates. There's a sudden outcry over these specific terms. But before, there wasn't a crackdown on certain marginalized minority streamers, and the recent statement on the N word with the hard R variant. I don't know if you guys heard about this. With Twitch came out talking about, the N word with the hard R is completely inappropriate, and other uses without that variant would be taken into context. I believe it should all be banned. But why do you think it took so long from the beginning, the onset of the platform, to finally induce a worldwide ban on the word?
I just assumed it was always banned.
I'm actually shocked by that.
Right? Yeah.
Like legit shocked. It was not banned.
No, the recent statement was that the hard R variant would be completely banned across the platform. Otherwise, it was up to the streamer to blacklist the term, along with any other terms that you would perceive as inappropriate.
See, because one of the points I was going to make, and I'm glad I didn't make it now, is in Twitch's terms of service. They ban racial terms, but they don't go out and list, hey, these are racist words, don't say these.
Mm,
Yeah.
But apparently they
specific words,
have.
yeah.
I just assumed when Twitch says don't be racist, that would be the first word that comes to mind to be like, yeah, I probably shouldn't say that in chat or on stream.
hmm Yeah, normal people shouldn't. And I mean, if you say the word, you're going to get in trouble. Let's not,
Yeah.
I'm not trying to put a foot up Twitch's ass and say that they're okay with it, but to just auto ban the word is the way that they should have gone from the onset, along with, any other extreme derogatory terms that are used in hateful or demeaning manners. But it was much of a surprise to me as well. Flemma, what do you think?
I see what you mean. So I guess it was from the start. They're obviously like, don't be racist and stuff. But so what is this the kind of the start of them banning specific words? So they've banned that word, they've banned simp. But the thing is, it's like, then how far do you go? Because obviously there are words like the N word, for example, that are just purely racist. Like you never accept that. But then there are words like, like simp and virgin and stuff that, because you could say those. I mean, I guess this is why in the ban they say like you'd only get banned if it was obviously a negative connotation, because you could be just talking about, oh, I'm a virgin, example. Um, it. I found a really good, interesting tweet that someone said. I mean, I won't say who it's from, just to protect them. But they're saying so that I love how Twitch took at the time to ban hateful. Oh no, wait, that's not the one. So I now would like to know whether a content creator or viewer has ever been banned for saying slut, bitch, whore, slut, or harlot, which I found quite interesting as well, because it's like, when are we going to get to the point where they're going to start banning those words, which in fairness are, they are hateful words. They aren't words that, I don't know. it's a difficult one as well because we do call each other that within our friendship groups. We call each other bitches or bish, not bitch. It's going to get to the point where how far are they going on these words that they're banning?
Hmm.
Because you're like, okay, yes, obviously the majority of these words are hateful words, but then then it gets to the point of freedom of speech, and it's like, well, what are they then? Oh, sorry. Then what are they going to start banning? What other words like idiot or moron or
Yeah,
or
absolutely.
even just swearing in
Right.
general, just saying like fuck off.
Hmm.
Would that get banned? Like,
Yeah.
how is that any less hateful than calling someone a virgin? Like, if anything, that's worse. like,
It's
you know.
potential. It's potential for a slippery
Mm,
slope, and I think that the outcry over extreme words is justified, but simple words that could be used in nuance to joke around is that's when it gets into a slippery slope. And even this with simp, um, incel virgin, like I mean, these aren't situations where people were uh, demoralized and marginalized. These are not words like the N word, where this is, it should have been from the start. So, another question is kind of going into what you said. So, on January 22nd, the hateful conduct and harassment policy goes into full swing with wider guidelines. So, focusing on the context of the situation is Twitch's goal. But with what you said, Flemma, about in terms of joking with your friends, you call each other bitch or bish, and but people on Twitch can use it in a derogatory term if they're, not knowledgeable or friendly with the streamer. Do you have faith in Twitch's ability to understand nuance and ban appropriately, or do you think obviously people will get banned for silly reasons?
100% believe that people will get banned for silly reasons. 100%. People with all the DMCA stuff that's come out, I've seen stories of people being banned for playing their own music.
Yep.
And the reason being, in just my theory, is that they've seen they're playing music, they haven't done any research or any checks, they've just outright banned them.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen people, my own friends, who have gone back and seen their VODs have had some of their music muted, even though I know 99% sure they know that that music should be copyright free. And I think it's just a case of Twitch has gone, that's music, ban, 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 or like not ban, but like mute, 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 or ban.
Yeah.
And I think that that's going to be the problem with saying this word is banned if you use it in this way. Are they going to go through and check that that word's been used in an innocent way? Or are they just going to outright ban people if they say it? People might even say it by accident. Like, I don't know, like the term someone made a good point as well. The term virgin could be like, oh, I've never played this game before. I'm a virgin to this game. Obviously, that's a completely innocent way of using it. It's not derogative to anyone. But is there are they still, is there a chance that they could get banned for that or given a warning? Yeah, it's really. I've seen Twitch so many times ban people for ridiculous reasons, or like say for example the DMCA strikes when they shouldn't be striked at all because it's their own music. For example, it's just ridiculous. I don't have a lot of faith. I'd like to see how it goes, but I wouldn't be surprised if come the 22nd of January, you do see stories of people who've been
Yeah.
banned for ridiculous reasons.
Yeah, I think it's going to institute fear culture too, because now a lot
Yeah.
of people who rely on comedic effect, etc., aren't going to know. Like, if I even if I use this word as a joke and this is my friend group, I could get slapped on the wrist or even banned. So it's gonna hinder people's ability to portray themselves in seemingly innocent ways. Um, so Nixter, your thoughts? What do you think about the potential for Twitch not understanding nuance?
These rules sound like someone who doesn't quite understand what these words mean. And that is a huge problem when it's going to come to punishment, potential punishment. And the point of the slippery slope of like, okay, what about whore? What about bitch? What about this? I mean, I've seen those words used a lot and not necessarily in a derogatory way. It's just, something said in a game and the chat reacts or whatever. But like I have a sound effect in my channel that's literally my friend in a mic going hookers, and it's not really derogatory. It's just a funny sound effect because it comes out of nowhere. There's no context behind it.
Yeah.
Is that gonna be banned now because it could be derogatory? That'd be really stupid. Um, but the issue, and like I said before, is where they're saying this word is bad except this. Whereas when you're talking about the N word, there's no the N word is banned except no, there is no exception. It's banned. If a word has an exception where it can be used, it shouldn't be banned. It should be, if the streamer or another chat member has an issue with how someone is behaving in chat, then Twitch can go and take a look and be like, okay, yeah, this guy was being abusive, or oh no, this person was being too sensitive. But I have a feeling that there's going to be very few cases where Twitch is going to be, oh no, this person's being too sensitive. I think if someone complains about you using these words, you are going to get at least spoken to, which is a little ridiculous.
100%. Yeah, I think it does open the possibility for abuse, especially like for people who don't like streamers, like on a personal level. You could try to segue them into saying something that you can then get them into trouble for. So there's a couple of avenues this could take that could lead down a one-way street to a head-on collision.
And more than one time in my streaming career, I've had people come into my stream being like, "Oh, haha, you're a virgin," and at no point did it be like, "Oh, I feel terrible about myself. I'm going to go report to your Twitch." I'm just like, "Okay,
Yeah,
thanks for coming out," and then you
What's so
time them
wrong
out,
with
and
being a
that's it.
virgin?
yeah, I
What,
know.
like, so what? You're saving yourself. Like, I don't. I've never found the whole. I
Yeah,
guess it's. I guess it's more used against men. Like, no one's
yeah,
gone. No one's. I've never really seen someone go to a girl and go, "Ha ha, you're a virgin." They'd be like, "Oh, she's so innocent."
Yeah,
Blah, blah,
I've
blah."
seen that in
It's only
movies,
really
but
an insult to men.
mhm.
That's another thing actually I read was that someone made a point of are these terms are mostly used against men as opposed to women.
Yeah.
That's where they kind of brought up the whole okay, so you're banning these terms. When are you going to ban bitch, slut?
Well,
Those examples, for example. Um, but I don't know. I've never found just come back to that. Incel I've never even heard of until I found out about this story where they've been banned. I don't think I never found someone being called a simp or a virgin that insulting. I think it's a really bad insult. I think if you're going to call someone a virgin, come up with a better insult because
yeah, it's just
the
silly.
say I haven't had sex. Ooh,
I know, right?
who cares?
Yeah, I mean,
So silly.
you're not really insulting the person like on a deep level. You're just assaulting a decision. So another thing, like you said, is these are focused on men, and to be honest, for a long time, I mean, people do give women a lot of shit on Twitch. I mean, if we look at the term thought, I mean, where's the difference here? So
that should
why
be a banned word.
right? Why is this happening just now? And
Yeah, agree.
I'm not trying to hang on the left side of the fence here and trying to make everybody happy. I'm just trying to be honest that if people are complaining about these terms, I mean, women deal with a lot of shit. So where was that before? Now they're looking at, the lower tolerance for sexual harassment, objectifying and harassing behavior. The guidelines prohibit repeated mention of someone's appearance, lewd, explicit comments on attractiveness, unwanted sexual links. So going into effect on January 22nd, why did it take so long? And I see a lot of people on Twitter specifically who, that's usually where I hear the term, by the way. I never see simp outside of Twitter. Is why did it take so long for people to, or for Twitch to get involved with this stuff? And I feel like they're just going nuclear when there was a lot of people that were experiencing dilemmas before this, and now they're focusing on the stupidest words I could ever imagine.
Yeah, and I've always said I feel bad for a lot of female Twitch streamers because they do have to put up with way more shit than I ever have to. Because the number of trolls I've been streaming for over 4 years, I could count on maybe two hands how many trolls have ever come into my stream.
Yeah.
And again, they say, "Ha, you're a virgin," and it's like, tell that to my wife because I'm married. Like, okay, like
She's like, I'm
news to me.
surprised.
Exactly.
I'm
Like
saving myself for 5 years after marriage.
good
Past
for
the
you, man.
expiry date.
That's the expiry date.
It's great.
I'd love it. I genuinely really like to hear if anyone who's listening has ever seen someone being called a simp and a virgin and got upset about it. Because that's a weird thing. Like I can't think of anyone or know anyone that would actually ever genuinely take offense to it. Um, especially when like, okay, when I have some people call each other virgins, it's usually from kids. And it's like, well, I bloody hope so. Like I so I'd be genuinely interested to see if, not that I'm saying people obviously don't, but I'd love to hear if people have actually been upset by that term.
Yeah.
Because it's weird because I feel like more people would be called bitch and told to fuck off and stuff than ever. That I just don't understand how it's come about. I just find it weird that they would suddenly have an influx of people being like, I honestly feel that people, and this happens a lot, people that might have complained are people that might have not even be offended by it. They might have seen someone be called it and then be like, and come up and be like, someone was called blah blah blah, and it was really rude. I don't know if anyone would have complained if they were personally offended. I feel like it might have been people witnessing stuff. And I just find it really bizarre that there would be an influx of complaints about particularly simp and virgin because I'm like, it's just childish insult.
Mm-hmm.
I just, if someone's really been hurt by it, you know, I just find it quite shocking as well, on a personal level.
Yeah.
I've seen simp used in my channel once, and it was I got a massive raid, like a 500 viewer raid kind of thing, and everyone kind of comes in, they do like a mass follow, mass bits, mass sub hype train, all that stuff. And so one person's like hashtag simp for Nick. I had to after the stream look, I'm like, what does simp mean? And I'm like, oh, that's what it is. But I didn't. It wasn't meant for insulting. It's just like, hey, let's be nice to Nick. Everyone be nice to Nick. Like that's
a
not
really good point. That it's sorry, Nick. Sorry, go on.
Is it if I gotta go to Twitch and be like, this person said simp in my chat. This person was telling everyone to be nice to me. Ban them.
Ban them now.
But no, I legitimately, I'm like, what is that? I had to go on Urban Dictionary after my stream. Like, what does this mean? I don't understand what simp means.
We're getting too old, pretty much.
Yeah.
But that's a really interesting point. Is that this word has been banned, but I've seen so many cases of people using it in a positive way, being like, whether it's like simping for a celebrity,
Yeah.
or like, I say, oh, I totally simp for Nick. That's a positive thing. It means I like the guy. Like, that's the thing. Like, you can't really use those other words in that context, but particularly with simp, I'm like, it's not necessarily a bad thing. I've seen people saying, oh, I'm simping for blah, blah, blah. Just means they like them.
Mm-hmm.
It's not using an insult. It's also defined, I guess, as a word for, I like this person.
Yeah.
Rather than just an insult. I've seen it more positively used than negatively.
That's a good point. That's like the complete opposite, where people will say, I stand for them, obviously after the Eminem song, Stan, made famous by Marshall Mathers, one of my heroes. But I would say that it's going to be based off of context and situation. So, like you said with simp, sometimes people use it in a positive manner, and I just hope it doesn't get to the point where we're looking at wider and wider terms being banned that really have no place being banned, except in another instance of the harassment policy now stating like stricter definitions on hateful content, using comments about caste, color, immigration status, terms like black, brown, yellow, red face are banned except for educational purposes and the Confederate flag. Well, I mean, I'd like to think that those are obvious things that should be banned because you're going after a group of people that are specifically related to nationality, heritage, religion, sect, etc., and that can be extremely aggressive and hurtful. But this all should be common sense. It should have been done from the start. So now, because of this outcry, like what exactly happened to prompt this extra behavior from Twitch? And I just hope that down the line, simple words aren't simple words aren't taken into consideration to be banned as well, just because they become a new trend, like boomer or something stupid, and people can't joke around or they feel like they're constrained and they can't be themselves. And most people are extremely knowledgeable and observant that we can't be hateful and racist and bigoted, but we can joke around with other terms and hit you on the sly with words like you silly simp. I just see a giant dissonance here, and I don't know if I'm comfortable with where it's going to go.
It's very odd for me that Twitch is specifying what is considered racist because like
Yeah,
you said, it's common sense. If Twitch is like all racist acts, racist words, whatever are banned, I'm going to assume, yeah, I probably shouldn't show up as blackface on my stream. That's racist. I don't
yeah,
need a rule specifically outlining, hey, don't do blackface.
I know, and that's
Kind of
where
redundant.
we're treated. I think it's like treat it like a child in a classroom kind of a mindset right now. And Twitch, just to roundabout back to what you said about blanket statements, it would have been much wiser from the start and the onset to say we're banning objectifying, harassing behavior, racist, bigoted behavior, and people need to understand that because it's common sense. Once you start getting into a situation where every new term and joke becomes banned because somebody doesn't have thick skin for simplicity, then you're going to have a problem. And now people are going to be afraid to use Twitch the way that they normally would because most streamers aren't hateful, but most streamers will use jokes. And, we're going to get into an aspect where you can't do that anymore. People are afraid to. It's like a fear assessment almost, and you're stuck into this fear mongering. But yeah,
I don't understand why we can't just be using our common sense and just trust that we as streamers know what is being said in a negative way and what isn't. Um, and also there's far more terms I prefer personally to see banned. So we talk about not being racist and stuff, but there's so many words that are offensive to the homosexual community that I much hate more than ever virgin or
yeah,
simp. For example, I can't stand when people use the word fag or dyke. I have family members that have been called that who are gay, and I think it's just a horrible word. And I'd rather see words like those banned because I personally don't see those words being used ever not in an offensive way as like the N word would be
agreed.
used. I'd rather see words like that banned than like simp. It's just ridiculous. It's like in terms of like banning those words, it should have been a case of okay, don't ban them straight away. Why not let people know and be like, these words are being used in causing offense to some people. So they should just done a statement of please be careful when using these words. People can take offense. So just be kind and considerate when using these terms. Make sure that it's not in a derogative or offensive way. And then if people continued to use them in offensive terms, maybe ban them then. But there's far worse words that can be used in streams and that are, can be used in streams than those words. And
Yeah,
that's my opinion.
yeah, there are certain words where, like you said, if we're looking at the gay community, for example, who have been like, there's been tons of violence and hatred in the past towards the gay community, where we're looking at simple words like, and it keeps getting so redundant because I go from simple to simp, like simp and incel, which we're not talking about a community that has been violently assaulted, have been onslaughted with hatred, but you're looking at the gay community with the F word and the D word, and it's just these are common sense words that I feel people should never say in any way, shape, or form, or jest with your friends, joking around. But words like simp and all in incel are so benign that I feel like this is absolutely asinine. People should have the common sense, and Twitch should say harassment isn't allowed, bigotry isn't allowed, etc. But once we go down the street of these new words, people have turned them into something mean. Ow, ow, my poor feelings of easygoing terms, and now you can get banned. So yeah, it's a wild ride. I'll say that. All right, guys. So in closing, I'd like to give the floor to Nixter and Flemma for some closing statements on the matter. And my closing argument would be exactly what I just said, that people need to have common sense. Twitch is a corporation, it's a business, and they're private. They're allowed to do whatever they want. It's playing devil's advocate here. They're not infringing on anybody's right because they are a private organization funded by advertising dollars. They need to do what's right for their bottom line. Twitch doesn't, they're not going to care about you. They care about business, and that's fine. That's fair. But I believe that people will wish that there were alternatives. I believe that most people would agree that harmful language and harassment is wrong. But I think that focusing on such easygoing, non-harmful terms and then bringing up actual purposely harmful terms later on down the line was a stupid move. And I 100% agree with Nixter with the blanket statement is much better than going after specifics. And people should use their better judgment, and they should be trusted to do such, because now people are going to be very fearful, just like with DMCA and music strikes. They can't even play their own music. Oh, I can't accidentally say simp as a joking manner. And then what other words and what other avenues are going to be banned later on? Nixter, your thoughts about the whole situation, your closing argument, your closing thoughts.
Yeah, I just think what it comes down to is, as both a streamer and a Twitch viewer, it's common sense. Don't say anything derogatory. The fact that Twitch has to specify what's a racist word is a little ridiculous. We should just know, don't say the N word. It's racist. It's inherently racist. Um, but if you have Twitch viewers that are maybe saying some things that are offending you or you find insulting, let them know, hey, please stop that. And if they continue, then move forward with it. Then do the timeout. Then do the ban. Then report them to Twitch. But don't, because someone comes in and is just like, oh, you're a simp and you don't like that. Don't just go to Twitch and report them and get them banned, because they might not know. They might not mean it maliciously. So
Right.
common sense
Yeah.
seems to be the bottom line of this whole discussion. Just use common sense.
Right. And there's now more responsibility on the streamer. Don't take everything with a grain of salt, and don't be so thin-skinned that you're going to ruin somebody else's day or week by getting them in trouble for something silly. So this adds more responsibility, I believe, to the broadcaster. Flemma, your closing thoughts.
Yeah, very similar to Nick. Be kind to one another. We've all had a difficult year, but it's common sense. Like literally what the person said. Like, if you think something could offend someone who's not your friend, so you're not just trolling, don't say it. Make sure you speak up, both as a streamer or as a viewer. If you don't like something that's being said, don't be afraid to say it. Especially if you're in chat and you're new to a stream and be like, I'm not sure about that. Just say it. Just say it in a nice way. Just say, sorry guys, I'm not a fan of that, or and obviously if they then continue to use it, then maybe speak up about something. But yeah, when it comes to these words, yeah, just use your common sense. It's okay to have a joke, but don't say anything that you think could be generally hurtful to someone. Yeah, when it comes to being, again, worried about what you can say now, I'm gonna keep repeating myself, but use your common sense. If you wouldn't say it to someone in person, don't say it to someone on stream.
Very good. Wise and wonderful words from both Flemma and the Nixter, our guests for today's podcast. Obviously, discussing the new conduct and harassment policy guidelines. Keep an eye out, going into effect harsher and stricter on January 22nd. And we hope everybody has a wonderful holiday and everybody stays safe. And to all you Simpson incels out there, we love you too.